The Wilderness Within You, Day 23, the Thursday of Week 4. 2 Bible readings today. First from Mark 6, verses 1 to 6, and I'm reading from the Good News translation of the Bible. Jesus left that place and went back to his hometown, followed by his disciples. On the Sabbath he began to teach in the synagogue. Many people were there, and when they heard him, they were all amazed. "Where did he get all this?" they asked. "What wisdom is this that's been given him? How does he perform miracles? Isn't he the carpenter, the son of Mary, and the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon? Aren't his sisters living here?" And so they rejected him. Jesus said to them, "Prophets are respected everywhere, except in their own hometown and by their relatives and their family." He was not able to perform any miracles there, except that he placed his hands on a few sick people and healed them. He was greatly surprised because people did not have faith. Again from the Good News translation, John 1, verses 10 to 11. The Word was in the world, and though God made the world through him, yet the world did not recognize him. He came to his own country, but his own people did not receive him. "I like walking," I say to Jesus as we climb the hill together through the damp darkness of this cold and exceedingly dismal evening on our way to the church meeting. All my shoes are walking shoes. I haven't got one fancy pair left, by which I mean the sort you wear for show only, but they pinch and give you blisters. Everywhere in this town is so far away from everywhere else that I'd be spending a fortune on bus fares if I had shoes that hurt my feet. Anyway, walking is good for us. I saw a video on the internet about some man who lost a huge amount of weight just by walking every day. He didn't go especially fast, he just kept going. And I like walking. "Good," says Jesus. "I like walking too. But what you are not saying is..." I suppose you already know this, but there is not much mileage in trying to keep anything hidden from Jesus. "Well, it just sounds so unreasonable," I mumble. "Uh-huh. What does?" So I tell him. Most of the people who go to church meetings have cars. If I call them and ask them for a lift, they are always gracious and kind. They willingly take me, at least most of the time, if it's not too far out of their way. But they mostly don't remember that I haven't got a car. They don't call me and ask if I'd like a lift. They don't volunteer to set up an arrangement where they would come by for me. In the summertime, that's no problem at all. But in the winter, when it's dark and cold and wet, I just love it if, without having to ask, they offered. It's hard to ask. And if I'm honest, half the time when it's not actually tipping it down with rain, it's not the walking that's the problem. It's knowing that in a car culture, if people don't offer you a lift, that means they don't care about you. Jesus listens to this. I glance at him. It makes all the difference in the world, I add, walking to the meeting with you. It's like that thing G.K. Chesterton said in The Man Who Was Thursday. There are no words to express the abyss between isolation and having one ally. Two is not twice one. Two is 2,000 times one. Having someone to go with makes it into something I actually want to do. I know I should feel enthusiastic about it anyway, because the meetings are about spreading the gospel and building the kingdom. But if the people I'm meant to be doing it with don't care if I'm there or not, then I start not to care either. And it's not far from that to not wanting to go at all. So, thank you for walking to church with me tonight. Thank you so much. Well, says Jesus, I understand about being the odd one out, about not fitting in. Yes, he surely does, more than I do. As we come over the crest of the hill and start down the other side toward the sea, I think about the stable at Bethlehem, where there was no room at the inn, and how the people from Nazareth shunned him because his teaching was so wise and holy that they thought he was getting above himself. I think about Judas, his friend, betraying him for cash to people who wanted to kill him, and about all the religious establishment men who unabashedly wanted him dead, and Pilate, who thought it seemed a pity, but not enough to intervene. He just signed the death warrant. How strange that someone who came for the precise purpose of being with us, Emmanuel, God with us, was not actually wanted when he got here. The most scary part of the desert is that it can feel so lonely. Going into the wilderness with a friend turns an ordeal into an adventure. What you were afraid of starts to be fun. Well, perhaps not if you're going to be fasting for 40 days, but in general, I mean. And even the things that were meant to be fun, like parties and quiz nights, can be an ordeal if no one cares about you and you're all by yourself. Maybe that's what wilderness is. A place no one cares about. Ground nobody has loved. The cultivation of kindness changes everything.